Fall Harvest Crockpot meal is in collaboration with Miss Leona at Ebony, Ivy, and Thyme with Fiona Dooley and Tra Michalle. So when you're done here, go on over there and see what they've cooked up for you. They both have some incredibly delicious fall crockpot meals for you to try. I'll put their links in the description box. Now I am making an autumn harvest bowl. I wanted to do something that had the fruits of the season, and right now in Indiana, butternut squash and other forms of squash are coming into season. So I thought this would be the perfect dish to make in my crock pot. And peeling it is so much easier when you have the right tools like this OXO vegetable peeler. Now I'm going to cut this squash in half, and I'm going to scoop out the innards. And I'm just using an ice cream scoop to scoop this out. It's got nice sharp edges and it's doing a beautiful job. Now I will cut it into half-inch pieces. So this whole collaboration is about the fall harvest and what is in season. So my question to you is, what's in season in your area? We'll have apples coming in pretty soon, but right now squash and tomatoes and corn and all those goodies are coming in. What's coming in for you, and what would your fall crockpot meal look like? Inquiring minds want to know. This recipe also calls for 4 carrots, and I will wash them and peel them and then cut them up into nice little cubes. I'm going to cut the ends off. And then I will peel them and save the peel for making vegetable broth or chicken broth if I so desire. So I like to peel them into a plate rather than into the sink. That way all I got to do is just scoop it up. Put it in the baggie and put it in the freezer. And I like to give the carrots a good scrub because when I make the chicken broth or vegetable broth, I like to make sure those peelings are clean. So I think my family is going to love this autumn harvest bowl. We do a lot of rice bowls, particularly on Tuesday for Taco Tuesday. I'll have a taco bowl in a minute. But then there are other rice bowls that you can make that are just delicious, and they're nice and hearty, they're inexpensive, and they go a long way. Next, I will cut up 1/2 of a red onion. And this is a really quick and easy crock pot meal because everything can just go in the crock pot. I don't have to do any sauteing or anything like that ahead of time. And if you don't have a red onion, that's okay. You can use a white or a yellow onion. You just won't get the differences in color that you would get with the red onion, but they'll work just as well. So here's the carrots and onion that I use in almost every dish, only my onion is typically a sweet yellow onion or a white onion and not a red one. Only thing missing is the celery. I just gotta have it. Carrots, onions, and celery. It just seems like that's what goes together. Now this recipe calls for a pound of ground turkey, or you can use pulled turkey, pulled chicken, something like that. I happen to have a rotisserie chicken that I needed to use up. Here's my cubed butternut squash. And here I've got a half a red onion, 4 cut up carrots, and 1 stalk of celery. On top of that, I'm going to add a box of rice-a-roni, long grain, and wild rice. I should say 2 boxes of rice-a-roni and long grain rice, as well as 2 of the flavor packets. So as you can see, this dish is just really simple. And 5 cups of chicken broth. And I almost forgot 2 cups of roasted corn. And this is a bag of the Bird's Eye fire roasted corn. 1 12-ounce bag is about 2 cups. Now before I put the lid on it, I'm going to add 3 sprigs of fresh rosemary, which I happen to have growing in my garden. About a half a teaspoon of salt. We can always add more salt later if we need it, but we can't take it out if I get too much in. I'm going to go with a 1/4 teaspoon of Miss Leona's house seasoning, which has pepper, garlic powder, and onion powder in it, and it can be a little spicy, so I tend to add less. I can always add more later, but once it's in there, you can't take it out. So just a 1/4 teaspoon of that, and then I'm going to add about a half a teaspoon of this garlic. And you know, I used to always buy the garlic cloves, and I still do get them. But for some reason, I bought this jar of diced garlic already, and it is nice to have it ready to go. And the recipe also calls for 2 teaspoons of pumpkin pie spice. So that's really going to give this a fall flavor. So I'm going to give this a little stir. Just so everything is all mixed together. And I will say I did use my own homemade chicken broth. You might have noticed there was a little ice cube in the middle of one. I got them out of the freezer and this one hadn't completely thawed out, but it'll thaw in the pot. There we go. So now, let's get the lid on. And I've got it set to high, and I'll let it cook for the next 3 to 4 hours. And in the meantime, I'm going to clean up some of this mess. I've been cleaning out my freezer, so I've got a bunch of stuff that I do need to take care of. And I'll start with getting these carrot and celery scraps in a freezer bag. This video is brought to you by Aprondiva. Pretty and practical, we believe that an apron can be a homemaker's best accessory. Visit us at www.aprondiva.com. You guys should smell my house. It smells like fall. So it's been 3 hours, so I'm going to give this a stir and then see if the rice and the squash is tender. It smells wonderful. I'll get a spoonful that has the rice, the squash, and maybe a piece of the onion in it, just to see if it's all tender. The squash is tender, the rice is tender, but the onion needs a little bit more cook time, and it could use just a little bit of salt. So I added that salt to it, and I'm going to give it another hour of cook time. But it smells delicious. So what am I going to serve with it? Well, I've got some whole berry cranberry sauce, ocean spray of course, and some artesian Parmesan garlic and herb ciabatta buns. So I'm going to serve these buns with the autumn harvest bowl as well as the cranberry sauce. So now, you're probably thinking, cranberry sauce? Well, if you've been following me for any length of time, you know I like to serve cranberry sauce as a side dish like most people like to serve corn and green beans. We have cranberry sauce around here. So that's what I'll be having with this autumn harvest bowl. Now let's plate it up. As far as I'm concerned, Roslyn Bakery is the best bakery in the world. And he always pops in when I'm in the middle of, whenever I'm in the middle of filming or wrapping up filming, you always hear that door ease open. Well, you know he's popped in. But anyway, as I was saying, we didn't have a pot to pee in or a window to throw it out of. And we struggled living paycheck to paycheck. And when I say paycheck to paycheck, I mean paycheck to paycheck. We were both still in college. We were both juniors in college, and we were trying to maintain our school bills as well as our household bills. So I worked as a student nurse at one of the local hospitals, and we got paid every 2 weeks. And on payday, I would stop at Roslyn Bakery and pick up a coffee cake and take it home, and that would be my treat for the week. So whenever I see Roslyn Bakery, it makes me think of those lean days when we were struggling, but I appreciated every little delicacy, and Roslyn Bakery was one of those. Now, there's no Roslyn Bakery here in the town that I live in now. So when I see Roslyn Bakery goods at Kroger, I will always pick up one or two little things because it reminds me of leaner times, but certainly happy times.